All right, okay. I'm going to ask you a question then before we start,
Here
right?
we go.
Right. Guys, we've just recorded the PSG episode, right? Southampton preview, right? What's happened?
We just sat the manager.
No.
Oh.
What's happened to us in Paris?
We've just won. We've just won. 3-0. Oh, wow. That's amazing. What a performance. We're going to win everything.
Conquered Paris. Southampton preview then. Premier League. Turn our attention away from Champions League action then. We're doing all right. Premier League, we are back in the mix. We are in the hunt for Champions League again. Huge result in the previous game against Nottingham Forest. And Southampton coming up. Must win, isn't it?
Absolutely. Must win. I think, to be honest, the fixture gods have looked down on us with this one. And there's no disrespect. I'm going to say no disrespect to Southampton about 50 times in this preview. They are a woeful team. You can't deny that. They're the worst team in Premier League history, arguably. So to have this game in between the two PSG games, we couldn't really, barring it being at home, we couldn't have really asked for a better fixture, really. We've seen with the 8 changes against Forest that we can play at a totally different side and still get a positive result. You know, and you're not disrespecting Southampton by playing out, because we've just beat third in the league, Forest, with an 8-change team. So whatever team we put out against PSG, we can rotate at the weekend and still be confident we can put in a really good performance, and we should beat Southampton.
One of the pleasing aspects from the game at the weekend was the 8 changes, and look what we did to them in the first half.
Didn't change anything.
We absolutely smashed through them, but we had so much control as well. It was such a good performance that we make 8 changes for this game, and those same players that might have missed out against PSG can just go and do the exact same and then get that consistency. I mean, I know me and you, Ryan, we love football tactics, and that first half was so pleasing to see. You know, your Matsons, Onanas, Marlons, Garcia, really sort of step up and have a good performance. It should bode well that if we do make those level of changes, that we're able to get the victory in this one.
Yeah, you mentioned like Onana and Matson and Mings coming in. When you hear 8 changes, you think, oh my God, you're going to buckle yourself. You're playing kids. But these are players that have been training with us all season. They've been contributing all season. Tactically, they're clued up of what we want. So for me, it's like we're in an unreal situation at the minute. To have this full squad and pretty much have 2 players for every position is just invaluable at this time of the season. And it just feels like since that Crystal Palace hammering, we got hammered there. Since that hammering, it's just, we've had a reset. We was missing a lot of players that game as well. We got to Dubai. We've got a bit of sunshine. We've got a bit of freshness back. We've got players back. And everyone now is chomping at the bit. The winter window, we've won that. I don't think in Premier League history there might not be a better winter window than what we could potentially witness now. Them guys have come in and just raised the level up even more. We're not conceding goals anymore because we've got an attack now which is elite and causing problems where teams, they're a bit edgy to come and attack us because what they're leaving in behind them. So we've so much variation and options, and for me, Ron Saunders, he said, do you want to bet against us? Now it's like you can't plan against us. You cannot plan to play Aston Villa.
I like it, right?
Yeah, you like that? It's like Nuno.
I wonder where he was going there with that. That's nice.
Nuno could have predicted that lineup that we predicted for the Paris Saint-Germain, the tough game. They looked at the Brighton game before that and seen the lineup. And then 75 minutes before kick-off, we've got 8 changes and total different dynamics all over the pitch. So the options that Emery's got now, he opens his toolbox and he's got a load of shiny tools and everything he's getting to graft. So, the options is absolutely incredible, and you'd expect the same again against Southampton, wouldn't
Did you just call the first team squad tools?
Tools, yeah. Nice shiny ones, mate.
Do you think like now, a lot of the squad are trying to achieve something else this year in the Premier League, and the fact that we've been able to do it last season will give us more belief that we can do it and towards the end of this season?
Do you know what I think? I genuinely think, I don't think they're looking too far ahead.
Don't you?
I don't know. I think the manager would be...
I mean, he keeps talking about Champions League though, Emery.
Yeah, but
like as the objective, he keeps going like,
his focus is finishing. He said at the start of the season, the focus is re-qualifying for Champions League. That was the number one priority of everything this season. But I still think that's the goal. But I still think he's just like, let's just concentrate on the next game is the most important game. And after PSG, this is the most important game. Southampton, 2-3 days before, whatever happened against PSG, this is the most important game now, because this is where the priority was at the start of the season. And I think he'll be saying this is the only thing that matters. And I think arguably now we've got the strongest squad in the Premier League. I can't think of a stronger squad of players than what we could, fit-wise, what we've got, and quality-wise that we've got now. I think we are working at the highest level I'm going to say ever seen Villa work at.
You don't like players are in form. You'll get players in form. Do you think Emery now is in form? Yeah. This is the most in form
business
Emery.
End now, yeah.
I feel like he's
everything
really
he's done
focused.
Has led to this point, hasn't it? Yeah.
Everything's
but
planned.
I think
feel like we're planned ahead.
Yeah,
as well.
I think he used that Dubai break.
Yeah.
I think he
pre-season, wasn't it?
And do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me a bit of Dino. You know when we had that little reset, and we came back, and we were a bit different, weren't we? Like we'd had that opportunity. I kind of feel like it's a little bit similar.
Yeah, he kind of had that period when the World Cup was on when he first arrived, and I think we went to Dubai then as well and played like Chelsea, and we had a few games there, and we come back and we stormed it all the way to the conference, and it feels like we're on that Europa Conference run again that he had in the first season. I
think what's important now is, and everyone threw this at us at the start of the season, can they compete with a Wednesday Champions League, Saturday Premier League, Wednesday Champions League, at those levels all season? And I think now, given the fitness, amount of players we've got fit now, that's actually helping us now. These games coming thick and fast. These 2 games a week now, when you're in form, any footballer at any level will tell you, when you are playing well and when you are winning games, all you want to do is play football. That is all you want to go out and do. And all they'll be doing in between games is just, refocusing on your fitness, doing a bit of rehabilitation, keeping everybody ticking over, focusing on the next game. And they cannot come quick enough, these games at the moment, for us.
Yeah, one little observation I had from the last round of games, mainly the Manchester derby, was the reaction from...
Didn't you fall asleep?
The media. And Gary Neville in particular, talking about what Pep's done to the Premier League and how robotic he's made it, and how... you're basically saying how boring it is, because his team were very boring at the weekend, that now that's what the Premier League is. And I'm thinking... Well, speak for yourself, mate, because the way we play, like our first half against Nottingham Forest was so good, and I just thought, like, don't try and lower everybody else into your level. Like, there's a difference between boring and being competitive. Like, we are very competitive. Like, whether sometimes it's cagey or nervy, I think the Premier League's got that many coaches now that are very tactical and very tactically astute, that sometimes you might get these little mismatches, but I actually really enjoy watching those type of games when it is a bit of a tactical battle and the odd goal here and there. I mean, that was like a shocking game of football, because it was one team that are terrible and another team that are just completely lost their way, and it merged for that game. But I just think to try and put everybody else in that bracket was really unfair on the actual other teams.
Look how interesting teams like Bournemouth are. I would happily watch Bournemouth over Man United all day long, because they interest me. Fulham, played the same day, smashed Liverpool 3-2. Very interesting team. Brighton, very interesting. Villa,
Forest.
Forest, Brentford. They're interesting teams. They're tactical teams.
Well, Forest have had success with a totally different way of playing, so he's totally wrong with what he's saying.
I mean, I watched...
Forest have come out with a totally different plan and then been successful with it.
I watched Brentford against Chelsea, and yeah, if you're a Chelsea fan, it probably weren't great, but I thought Brentford were really good, and Bremo had big opportunities. It was a good game to watch, and yeah, I just think...
And the parameters to grow isn't as big as the top 16. So you're maximising everything that you can possibly get. You're unearthing gems of players that teams think, oh, he should go to Manchester City now. He's had a good season. Oh, he should go to think about Bournemouth manager should go to Tottenham and replace Ange. It's like, no, you know what I mean?
I think Neville's just throwing his dummies out the pram because his team's absolute dross.
Yeah. These clubs, this bunch of clubs, they're not feeder clubs, are they, for the big six?
No.
That big six now is collapsing, isn't
it?
It's really collapsing.
It's on its knees.
You look at them fixtures when they play each other, and at the minute it's like it's
nobody
rubbish.
Cares,
rubbish now. It ain't got the same feel to it. It's
I mean, the game before I watched Spurs and Chelsea, and that was just like flat in itself as well, wasn't it? So. Yeah, those comments did annoy me a little bit because I think it's a bit disrespectful, I think, to the actual other teams that are in that league. So we've got Southampton up next. A good talking point, I think, and if there are Southampton fans watching, I think this might be quite interesting, is that I want to touch on with you guys the way in which teams are getting promoted and they're going straight back down. It's happened... Well, I think the 3 teams this season are going down, aren't they? So last season, the 3 teams went down as well. Yeah. So there is that little theme. But should there be a bit more importance on sticking with your managers? A bit more. Because we're going to look at this now. So Russell Martin, sacked by Southampton. Ivan Juric, sacked before this game. So 2 managers gone. We've got Cooper, sacked from Leicester. Apparently they didn't want him in the first place. The fans wanted him gone at that time, where I felt like Southampton at the time, Leicester, were actually quite competitive when they had Cooper. I thought, they were probably losing a few games, but, you've got to be realistic with the situation that you are in. Nobody's saying that it's going to be easy when you get promoted. They sacked him. They've got Nisseroy, who's arguably done worse than what Cooper has done. Right? So... do we feel like realistic aims when you get promoted are needed, and having that ability to sort of stick with them but still grow at the same time? And I think sometimes when you do get promoted, I guess when you first get promoted and you're thinking, okay, we're gonna have a good season, we are gonna stay up, and then when you're in it and you're losing, it's probably difficult, isn't it, to support your team? So you might want to lose the manager. But do you think there should be a bit more of an importance of sticking and then rebuilding with that manager? Because the point I'm trying to make is that Russell Martin got them promoted through the playoffs. Yeah. It's through the playoffs. They didn't win the league. So, what do you think?
I think there's an unrealistic expectation on the clubs that come up. I think that it's almost impossible now to bridge the gap between the Championship and the Premier League. The financial aspect of it is ridiculous. The players that are in even the weaker squads of the established Premier League teams are phenomenal. And I think that unfortunately the financial pressures on clubs to stay in the division mean and dictate that they have to, they feel like they have one decision, is to get rid of managers if they're not winning games. And it is counterproductive because you're then causing issues that you've got a manager that's brought a team up like Russell Martin through the playoffs, which is, you've got even less chance of staying up if you come into the playoffs, because conceivably you could have a late run, nick into the playoffs and be nowhere near ready.
But
for
also,
the Premier League.
you've not prepared for the Premier League.
No, you haven't, because you're not ready for it. So I think it is incredibly harsh on clubs to sack managers. But I think they believe they've got no other choice, because they think that the financial rewards of staying up, should you do it, far outweigh the repercussions of firing a manager. And it's just the way football is. Unfortunately, it's run by money. It always has been, it always will be, until something changes dramatically, which never will. Then clubs will always fire managers when they're down the bottom.
I mean, Ryan, how difficult do you think it is then for a team from the Championship to stay in the Premier League. Because if you look at, you run through the league now, I mean, how many years have Brighton been in the Premier League? I'm going to guess off the top of my head, it must be about 9 or 10.
Good chunk, yeah.
Brentford must be about 7.
4, 5, 6, yeah.
You must be edging towards 7. Palace, 14, 15. Wolves, somewhat similar.
I think the issue that the clubs at the top end of the Championship have is that when they come up, a lot of them, they have their players cherry-picked. It's hard to keep on to your players.
But the infrastructure of the Premier League now is so high. You know what I'm saying about all those teams. You know, there's not a sort of like you remember West Brom back in the day? They were like yo-yos, weren't they? Up, down, up, down, up, down. Like,
yeah, it feels like to me
well, look
now.
what's happened to Luton.
You might have to go through that yo-yo period.
Yeah.
To come up and build, like Leeds, they come up for a bit, they went back down, they come up, they've got that little bit more infrastructure. Burnley as well, very, very solid in the Championship. These teams might come up, and then the second attempt might be a bit more prepared for it. And then you look at like someone like Russell Martin, that I think, I don't know too much about Southampton, but I think the fans liked him. I think the players liked him. He obviously had a unique style, a very attractive style that was brilliant in the Championship.
They didn't have the players to implement it, did they? No.
But he invested in players for the Premier League to play that style. So they were happy to go along with his philosophy. Yes, he was a bit naive and they got found out. And when you're passing out the back, we know the Premier League, one mistake and you've conceded. You know, the Championship, you might get 2 bites, 3 bites of the cherry. So in my mind, is it better to go down with him and keep the philosophy and then go again? And then if you can blast the Championship again and come back up, same philosophy, same mentality, bit more infrastructure behind you, a bit more money behind you. The players that have been playing it the same season, are you better prepared?
But he's English, isn't he, Russell Martin?
Scottish, yeah. He's Scottish.
I think so. His home nations, yeah.
His own, yeah.
But do we not feel like...
Might be in England and play for Scotland.
Like, why do we just throw away someone like that? Do you know what I mean? Like what you're saying, but
Ryan's got.
But can't we? These coaches have got to be that you can learn from those experiences. Like if he went back down to the Championship as a manager now, he's got that experience in the Premier League. He can grow as a person. Next time he could potentially, like you say, if they go back up again and stay there, he's got that knowledge now.
It's panic, it's money and panic. It's so much money in the Premier League that when you're in there and you're seeing it and you're feeling it and you've got full house every week, you want it and you're trying to cling on to it and you panic, don't you? You think it's the only option, I think, to reverse your fortunes, isn't it? Is to change the manager. You can't do anything in the window until the window's open.
Can't buy
and then people panic and it's like, I'll change the manager.
I think your point is a good point, saying that, stick with your manager long term, commit to maybe a 6-year plan, and if you do get relegated twice, you've got that financial, you're improving your financial side of your game, so maybe you can buy a better player when you come up the next time. But an interesting one is Chris Wilder at Sheffield United. He gets them promoted. He gets fired because they're struggling, and now he's back as the manager again, doing well again. Yeah. So should they have just stuck with him throughout anyway? Yeah. Are they any worse off now than there was when they fired him?
Another example might be like Michael Carrick. Like Middlesbrough have stormed it. He's had 2 really good seasons at Middlesbrough. They've stormed it now, got into the playoffs. They might go and win the playoffs now because they're in form. He gets to the Premier League, he might get 10 games and go, I'll see you later. Yeah. Even though he's done brilliant for 2 years and really changed.
Don't see anything changing anytime soon.
He's even got Ealing Jr. banging in goals, Carrick.
Yeah, I watched Middlesbrough, to be fair, last week. So I thought it was just an interesting point about getting promoted and managers, etc., and where they are. So we can all agree, like Southampton, they have been poor this season. One player that I really like is Tyler Dibley, a player that's getting a lot of attention. I think he'd be well suited to Villa. Ryan, I imagine he's a player that you sort of have had your eye on.
Yeah, reminds me of someone I used to love.
Yeah, what, with low socks?
Low socks, yeah. I still love you. There's no use to, There's no use to. But yeah, very, very stylish player, and he was only 18 and he stood out really, really well in the Premier League, and he's got all the makings to be a Premier League player. Not quite sure on the old 100 million transfer tag.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Yeah, but definitely.
They're right to ask him, though, aren't they?
I don't think he'll be in the Championship next season.
Yeah, neither do I. Right, so going into this game then, I imagine there's going to be a rotation from Villa. 3 players that stood out for me last week, Marlon, Maatsen and Garcia. I thought 3 really good performances. So I want to touch on Maatsen a little bit. I feel like he's coming out of the school of Unai Emery. I feel like he's been under sort of like being nurtured, and it shows that certain players probably do take that bit of time, and that once he knows his role and what Emery wants from him. I mean, I think you put on about that goal. It was like Peter with goal, weren't it? The dart down the left, in, out, down, just across. Yeah. It was such a really good finish. And
someone has actually clipped it up.
Yeah,
it's identical. With the 2 images, and it's so identical.
And I think that little, Netherlands connection was really good as well. And Marlon, after the game, speaking about how, he was disappointed about not being in the Champions League squad, but he's here for a long time. He wants to get it hopefully this year with Villa as well. So I just think those players, are stepping up a little bit. And in this game in particular, I do imagine there will be changes because of what's happened in the week. So, yeah, touch on Maatsen.
I think that Maatsen performance, and especially that assist for that goal, was the Maatsen I expected this season, I think. And I think the only reason we haven't seen more of it is the quality of Luca Dean this season. He has been one of our best players. He'll be in the running for player of the season, in my opinion, along with probably Yuri Tielemans and Morgan Rogers. So I think he's been unlucky in that respect, but I think he's definitely now starting to establish himself as a genuine, whenever Luca Dean leaves Villa, we've got a perfect replacement for him there. He's a different type of player to Luca Dean. He's more attack-minded, but that's what you want. That's what we signed him for, that option to attack down that side. And with Garcia and Marlon not being in the Champions League squad, they are perfect players to have a rest. And they won't want a rest, obviously. They'd rather be a part of the Champions League, but it's another 2 players that will be absolutely pumped and ready to go for the weekend. And Marlon's couple of goals recently as well are going to do him the world of good, and he seems a really nice guy and down to earth, and he's obviously disappointed, like you said, but he's bought into the long-term project. And I said this when he got left out, he's got a long-term deal at Villa. Whatever happens to the other 2 guys, for me, he'll be in the Champions League squad next season should we qualify.
I think what goes under the radar with Maatsen as well, it's his first season in the Premier League.
Yeah, full season.
Yeah, he's had time in the Championship. He had half a season at Dortmund, and this is his first season.
He's young, isn't he, as well?
Exactly, he's only 22,
yeah,
isn't he?
22.
So, like you say, he's been through Unai's schooling and everything, and now he's really chomping at the bit. His confidence is sky high, and the way he the explosiveness of him when he darted through.
He's like a winger, isn't he? He's like a left back winger.
Yeah. And he loves that little half space. It weren't on the touchline where he did that move. It was in that little half space. Boom, boom, boom. Ball in the box, and a number of players could have been in there, couldn't they? So.
But this evolvement of him he's only happened because he's got time to grow, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And having that first team player ahead of you that you've got your eyes set on, not only just give you a real focus, right, that's the level I've got to get to get in this side, but it allows him to grow and learn and train and take everything on board. So if Luca Dean is to move on in the summer, I don't know whether that would happen. Then you've got that player that's had a year to establish himself within the squad, and he's well liked and he's a good footballer.
But like you say, he's took it all on board. He hasn't threw his toys out of the pram, he's not sulking.
It never happens when you compete at the top level, though. That's the only way you keep a big squad happy is you have to compete on all fronts. Yeah. You drop out of Europe, you get knocked out of the FA Cup early, and all of a sudden you've got 38 games, and everybody's thinking, I don't really want this. So you've got to keep competing at the top.
Yeah. Right, so predicted lineup for Southampton. Quite difficult, I reckon, to predict, but we'll go for it. Right, so we'll go Martinez. Right, Martinez.
Joking apart, I'm not going to put that there. Do you think he might?
No.
Okay.
That one's sorted. So we've bigged him up. With pen.
You can't get this. Can you?
Right, we'll go Maatsen, yeah? So Maatsen.
Garcia.
Yeah, Garcia.
Yep.
Cash.
You don't think he was injured when he took him off then?
I haven't heard anything. Let's go cash, actually, because we've all thought Disassi plays in the Champions League, so...
Has to be Konsa.
I think so.
Or could be Disassi.
Could be Disassi.
Konsa?
Mings, definitely.
Mings Konza, I think, personally.
Yeah.
Right.
Onana.
Yeah.
I think you want to rest Kamara, don't you?
Because don't forget the game after this is PSG.
Yeah.
So
we
may...
This
Tielemans...
is sandwiched in between, isn't it?
What about McGinn in the double piv?
He just don't drop two players, does he? He don't drop Rodgers and he don't drop Tielemans.
I've said this, no disrespect to Southampton. You want to keep the key players as fit as you can, and they're going to have to put a shift in against PSG in both of them games. So they're coming off the back of a really intense game in Paris and having to play them again in the week after. Tielemans has played a lot of minutes for us this season. I'm just saying, would it not be prudent to stick McGinn in there?
So what options have we got? McGinn?
This is why I think it's a bonus.
Barkley. But he won't get a start, will he?
But this is why I think it's good that we've played in this game, because we can. We're not weak in ourselves. I think McGinn, just chuck McGinn in for now and see what we think going forward. You can always use your magic eraser.
Justin's moved this board so far back.
Yeah, sorry.
Hold on, your drink's here. Go on. Right, there we go. Right, McGinn Onana, okay. Ramsey Defo on the left, because we didn't put him in the other night, but we don't know what's happened there. But he could have started, he could not have started.
Marlon.
Yeah, Marlon.
On the right.
Rodgers.
Yeah.
He just plays every game, doesn't he?
He does.
It's like the ever-ready bunny.
Rashford.
Watkins. I've got Rashford starting up top against PSG.
Right, okay. So this, you obviously know this is after PSG, so we don't know what's gone on, but we think this. So yeah.
No Asensio in neither.
Nah, Asensio's got to play.
We haven't put him in the Paris lineup.
Yeah,
I have.
This one. I know you did, but it weren't the final.
No, it weren't. He got.
Okay. Just saying. So who's you playing? I think not having it makes it even more that McGinn's playing there. Yeah,
I'm happy with McGinn.
I'm happy to leave Rodgers out as well. Yeah. Again, give it as fresh as possible.
Yeah. Okie dokie.
That is very freshened up, isn't
That's
it?
How many challenges is that? 1, 2,
3,
4, 5, 6,
7, 8.
7
8
or 8 again. I think we can do it.
Yeah. Right.
And that team's still good enough to beat Southampton.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd put me in the double pivot. I reckon we can still beat Southampton.
Yeah, but come on, are we not going to get... There's no new manager bounce here, is there?
Look, it's no game is a give me, right? It just never will be. And anything can happen in football, but if we are anywhere near where we are, we
because you've got these players, 1, 2, 3, 4... They want it, don't they?
Is this the new manager bounce that was going to happen when Graham Potter took over West Ham and we beat him?
Yeah.
Is this the same new manager bounce that David Moyes was going to have when we played Everton and we went and beat them? So let's get a hat trick. Let's get a hat trick.
We're good enough to beat them, and let's also think that the players that will be on the bench that can change the game. Southampton have got to have the game of their lives, and we've got to be dreadful.
And you've also got what's the motivation for Southampton, really? If the motivation weren't there for the new guy,
you could say an argument they've been relegated now. So the pressure was off them anyway. They was going down, weren't they, weeks and weeks and weeks ago. So I don't know. It would take a monumental cock up there to lose this game, wouldn't it, from us?
Score prediction?
2-1 for me.
2-0 Villa. I'll be sensible.
I think this has got Sheffield United away vibes from last season.
4-0.
Was it 4?
5-0.
I'm thinking 4 in my head.
4-0 at half time, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I'll go 4-0. I think...
I'd take a comfortable, no stress, 2-0, 1 goal in each half, and just no injuries, no worries, no problems. Cruise through the game. That's what we want. We don't want a really hard game, do we?
Right. That's it then. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.